Good morning, everybody. This is ProBiz Africa. I have a very important guest on today. Please, can you kindly just introduce yourself?
Hi, good morning. My name is Austin Abu. I run a 360 integrated agency in Lagos, Nigeria. It's called Rich Republic. So basically, it's a 360 integrated agency because we cover different fields in the creative and entertainment industry, and so we have a media arm. We also have a brand and ideation arm, and we also have a experiential marketing arm. So basically, that's what we do. We service various clients, from big brands to up-and-coming businesses that need our services, be they in media strategy, experiential marketing, branding, and just general ideation that can just help you sell your goods and services.
Okay, thank you so much. You know, there's a lot of businesses in Africa. Why did you choose this sector, this industry, and when did you start? When did your business take off? When did you start your business?
Okay, I think basically my journey into this space started with passion. I've always been very interested in entertainment, ideations, branding, and anything that has to do with that space, basically. So my career actually started off in the corporate world. I worked with MTN Nigeria for over 9 years. But whilst I was working in MTN, I was still having my current business as a side hustle. And 9 years after working in MTN, I just felt it was time for me to venture out and start my own personal business. So basically, I would just say it was driven by passion, and it was just me trying to turn my passion into my everyday life and work and make money of it while also having fun.
Okay, that's beautiful. I guess your business has a lot of fun in it.
Yes.
You just came in from Nigeria to South Africa. How many days have you been here, and then are you enjoying yourself in South Africa?
Yeah, I've been here for I think 6-7 days now, and it's been fun so far. I actually like the weather. Yeah, and I've been having fun doing things that I love. I'm a very artistic person. I love the arts. I love creativity. So I've been visiting galleries, the art markets, and some other interesting art places. That's yeah. So basically, I would say I've been having fun so far, and thanks to good friends like you, who have also been taking me around and making me like enjoy my stay in SA.
Okay, that's beautiful. Where do you see your business in the next, let's say, 5 years, or maybe in the next 10 years? Not just in Nigeria, I mean in Africa. Where do you see your business in the next 5 or 10 years?
So the dream I have for my business is also inculcated and integrated for the bigger vision for Nigeria and Africa. So what am I saying? So basically, we have Nigeria right now, for instance, is like the entertainment creative hub in Africa, but it is also lacking in organization and proper legislation. The government seems to be catching up with what's happening. So we just have a bunch of people in that space who are just trying to make things happen. So the bigger vision for me and my business, which I feel is also going to be important for my business, the bigger vision is like, for me right now, I'm working with a team of people, and we're trying to come up with what we are calling the Creative Industry Bill, which is we're trying to come up with laws that can speak to the current reality, because what we have right now is very obsolete. we have very obsolete laws. So the whole idea is for us to come up with good creative laws that can help creative entrepreneurs to get value for their talents,
Okay.
and also bring more taxes for government. And at the same time, the bigger picture is we want to have enabling laws where Africa and Nigeria in particular can be like a number one stop destination when it comes to creativity for creative investors. So that's the bigger idea. And I feel if we have those kind of legislation, it will just trickle down and businesses like me can grow even bigger and further.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would like to say that from what we're seeing and what we're doing right now, the future is very bright.
Okay, I can agree with you, because if you look at Afrobeat is doing very well.
Yes.
If you look at the movie industry, we are doing very, very well
Yes.
also.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to give you two questions here. What would you say that sets your business apart from every other person that is in your industry? You know, because you know there's a lot of guys in your industry.
Yes.
What is it that you say this is the key thing that has set us apart from every other person that is in the industry? And how do you market your business? What is it that you do?
Okay, so basically, what sets us apart is we try to be different in our approach to our clients' needs. We try to first off we try to work with a lot of new generation Gen Zs.
Okay.
Because we want to have very diverse type of ideas and out of the box type of ideas, something that can just without going through the textbook way of marketing and branding. That is our whole aim, and that's why our catchword is innovation starts here. We're open to any type of idea, no matter how silly it sounds. So we have people working for us that we just throw things to them. When we bring a brief, we tell them, look, forget what you learned in school and all that. Look at what's happening right now and come up with any idea, no matter how ridiculous it is. And most of the times, it helps. So for instance, we also try to leverage on popular culture to sell your brand. You might decide to want to have, I'll give you an instance, a client wants, so the client wants like billboards on certain spaces. And we said, you know what, why don't we just identify some Gen Z youth influencers, because that's our target market. Can we infuse the brand into like fashion and make it cool?
Okay.
And we did that. It's an ice cream brand, and we did that, and it just went haywire.
Wow.
You know, and we introduced other type of sports like skateboarding and all that things that are of interest.
Okay.
You know, art, graffiti, just simple message. So rather than have like an electronic board, can we just go to a big space and just do a graffiti that speaks to young people and at the same time is sending a message? So basically that's what we do. It's just that's what sets us apart.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
So yeah.
And the marketing, what do you guys do in marketing your business?
In marketing our business, going by the Nigerian environment, it's a peculiar one.
Okay.
So as I also double as the chief marketing officer of my company.
Okay.
And that comes largely from relationships and networking, and that never ends. So basically, while our work speaks for us, the marketing arm of it is heavily done through networking.
So you basically have one-on-one touch with people.
Yes.
And you know that's what people actually need in business. That's personal face, that personal experience.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
it goes a long way.
Exactly.
Okay, that's beautiful. Now, your industry. Do you need funding for your industry? Do you need money? Do you need funding for if you want to expand in your line of business?
Why not? We do. So there've been a lot of attempts at funding. I mean, to give the government a bit of a credit, like I said, they are still trying to play catch up. Bank of Industry, we had the fund one. We had different funds for Nollywood and basically for Nollywood and some other type of businesses in the entertainment space. But the problem is it's a wide variety in the creative space. So the funding we have right now needs to be channeled properly, and it needs to be expanded. For me, it's too small. It's just like a drop in the ocean. So yes, when you talk about funding, it is very important. We need funding where creatives can have access, to grow their businesses and be more innovative.
Okay, that's beautiful. There's a funding that is coming from Europe. It's about 150 billion euro. There are other funds that are also coming into Africa to fund different sectors in Africa. Now that you're talking about funding, we also have funding partners which we can also connect you with.
Okay.
But if you're talking about funding, what are you talking about? Are you talking about $1 million? Are you talking about $10 million? Are you talking about what is the value of what funding what monetary funding do you want? What is the value of the funding that you require?
Okay, like if you talk about funding at my own business level or at the generic...
Your own business, what I'm talking about you. Yeah. What are you looking at? Are you looking at $1 million? Are you looking at $10 million? What are you looking at?
Okay, like for funding for my own type, for our type of business, considering that we're trying to venture into other spaces like film making, documentaries and all that, I think if I look at the top of my head, our funding, a good start funding for us will be in the range of between $2 to $5 million.
Okay, that's beautiful. At least you're specific on what you want.
Yeah.
Okay, the current population of Africa is about 1.4 billion. This is from the United Nations estimate. That's African population.
Yeah. Yes.
Now, what do you think about? Because what it means that we have the people to consume our product.
Yeah.
So we have the market.
Yeah.
So which means whatever you produce, you don't even need to look for where to sell it.
Yeah.
Africa, as a continent, can consume your product.
Yeah.
What do you see in doing business in Africa? How can we bridge the gap between the hate amongst African countries doing business together? I mean, I'm talking about you going to Kenya to do business in Kenya. I mean, you going to South Africa to do business in South Africa. You go to Mozambique, you go to Ghana. How do we bridge the gap? How do we bridge the hate among Africans so that we can come together as Africans, do business because we have the market to consume our product? Yeah. Can you throw more light on that?
Yeah, so it's a very important question you've asked. And I feel, first off, it needs to be deliberate. We need to be very deliberate as a continent because considering our history and the colonial interruptions we've all had amongst ourselves, so we've been divided on that line. There's Francophone Africa, there's Spanish Africa, there's Anglophone Africa, and all that. So there's even a language barrier divide, first off. And that's the more reason why now that Africa is independent for the most part, there's need for us to be deliberate in coming up with first educating ourselves as to the need of who we are, and going further by talking about how we can work together rather than seeing ourselves as rivals. And I mean, healthy competition is good, but rather than seeing ourselves as rivals, we need to now begin to look at ourselves as one and saying, look, we might have 54, 58 countries on the continent, but basically we're all one. And every country in Africa was a creation of colonialism. So we need to just try to erase that colonial map, those colonial formations, and begin to unify. And in doing that, first off, the OAU, for instance, has a good role to play. We need to make Africa a borderless society by making sure that we can move around Africa easily. I mean, it would be easier for me to move from one African country to the other than as it stands. It's almost easier for me to go to Europe than to even go to certain African countries in terms of visa restrictions and all that. Okay. So first, we need to take out the borders by making sure that we can move easily. Then two, I think Africans, we also need to start doing more trade with ourselves.
Yeah, that's intertrade.
Intertrade
Okay.
within the continent. And I feel if we begin to intertrade amongst ourselves,
Okay.
I can guarantee you we don't have any need to start running to IMF or World Bank or all those people to start asking for loans and all that, because we can amongst ourselves begin to trade amongst ourselves, create commerce amongst ourselves, and also even create a fund for ourselves. So for instance, we have the African Development Bank.
Yes.
We can grow the asset of that bank so that bank can be the driving pillar. Afrexim, for instance, is also doing a great job.
No, they're doing a great job.
Do you understand? So we need institutions like that so that we can just keep the IMFs and the others aside and work with institutions that understand us as a people, that understands the culture. So that way it will be easier for them to deal with us, and they can give us very favorable terms that can work for all of us. And in terms of, I think as an African, we should also work towards an African person going to any country without a visa.
Okay.
Let it just be free movement around the continent.
Beautiful.
And in the long run, I think there's also nothing wrong with having a unified currency,
Beautiful.
just like they have in the EU, so that movement and everything, that we interlink ourselves, rail, roads, air, and just trade among ourselves as a continent.
Okay, thank you so much. We have some African CEOs that are doing excellent work now. Recently, Dangote initiated his refinery, which is doing excellently well. But he has been having a lot of problems in Nigeria. What are your thoughts on that?
So the Dangote story is a very revolutionary one, but yet heartbreaking. What Dangote is doing in Nigeria is what every African entrepreneur should be doing. And in listening to him and his vision for why he's doing what he's doing, I think that's the way to go. So for instance, if there's an opportunity for us to have a refinery, Nigeria being the major, if not the largest oil producing country in Africa, and we've been importing our oil for the past 20 years, I think we will think, and most Nigerians were excited when Dangote came up, because we felt that whole issue of fuel importation will stop, because we know how much it's costing. We know that for the fact that we have something that we should not be importing, and we're importing. For the fact that we have refineries that are not working, and here comes this working refinery that will solve our problems, all the subsidy issues, all the bottlenecks that comes with fuel scarcity and all that, and more importantly, the creation of jobs and opportunities, and even the attraction of foreign currency. Because mind you, Dangote is not only going to supply Nigeria, he's also going to be selling to a lot of African countries and other parts of the world. So that revenue that comes in, the jobs that have been created already, over how many thousand direct jobs and indirect jobs, and the value chain across around that whole refinery industry. So at the end of the day, I just feel we should not, all our government and everybody needs to do is to support Dangote. To make it work. We don't need to bring any bottleneck. Dangote should be assisted in every way to make it work, because once that refinery sets up and start working, it's just going to be a game changer for Nigeria. And other things can come out of it.
Okay, beautiful. Let me ask you, I think maybe this will be the final question for today. Are you open for collaboration in Africa? Are you open for collaboration to do business with other African people that are in your industry?
Of course.
Or are you looking at just other? Do you want collaboration in your industry or other industries?
So yes, both. I want collaboration in my industry, and I also want collaboration in other industries.
Okay. What would be your advice to somebody who is new, an entrepreneur who wants to start up? What would you tell somebody who's young, somebody probably he's in 20s and he wants to get into business, he's an entrepreneur, he wants to do something. What would be your advice to him?
So my advice to a young entrepreneur is to know that is to have a vision, no matter how ridiculous. Share it, follow it, and be consistent. Because I've come to notice that in my line of career, consistency pays. Especially on the continent where we're doing business, it can be tough. You have a lot of bottlenecks, but at the end of it, consistency pays. Once you are consistent and you are focused, just go for it. And also, because of the orientation of the type of life we've been designed to live, where you're expected to go to school, come out, get a good job, you might not have a lot of family and friends that will give you the kind of support you need if you want to venture into entrepreneurship and all that. So you have to leave that aside, and you need to also be very careful with who you share your visions with, because some people will just run you down. So basically, try to look for like minds, try to look for mentors, try to do your own research, and be focused. But one thing I can guarantee you is that consistency pays. You can ask anybody, especially in my space, from artists, from Nollywood actors to musicians and all that, the consistency of what you're doing is what will pay you at the end of the day. So just be focused and be consistent.
Okay, thank you so much, my man Chocho. Thank you for coming to South Africa and Joburg to spend some time and enjoy yourself.
Thanks
As
for
you travel
having me.
back to Nigeria tomorrow, you travel safely. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Banji.